Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to inquirer.com/sports. That's where you'll also be able to find our next guest, our man who joins us every single Tuesday, Jeff McLane. Jeff, good morning. How are we doing today?
Hey, guys. What's up?
We are 9 days away. I'm curious, in all your years of covering the Eagles, when do you start getting a sense of where the Eagles might go in the first round?
I guess look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist sometimes to figure out what they're going to do.
Right.
But this year, obviously, will be a lot different because the pick is so late in the first round, and who knows, it may even be into the second round. But, my job is to kind of report and find out, and I've already kind of done some little digging. I mean, certainly when we know all the top 30 visits, that'll help. I'd say like maybe the days leading up to it, I feel more sure about maybe some of the guys. The last few years, I've done pretty well picking it. Other reporters have as well, which is bizarre because the Eagles for years it was so difficult. It was tough to really kind of get a handle on what they're doing. On top of that, the secrecy is that top. It's about secret as they get. I mean, there's only like a handful of people maybe that know or get to see the draft board. So it's tough. And again, they don't even know themselves because you have to see how the draft plays out. But you get a sense of guys that they're targeting, even beyond the top 30, just based upon what I'm hearing around the league or the potential for move ups, and what they think that the Eagles may be doing as well.
Jeff, trying to do your job and how you cover the birds and do that, is it more important for you to study the draft and what the league is doing, or is it sort of getting a PhD in what Howie Roseman and his team tend to do around a draft that gives you the clues to get you the right answer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably more the latter, just Howie's philosophy. I mean, which has changed a little bit. They've really had quite a run here these last 4 years, and you could say it's as simple as, pick guys from Alabama and Georgia, but it's been a little more than that. Like Cam Jurgens didn't come from there, and Alex Hunt was a little bit of I wouldn't say a reach, but a guy that not many, had on the Eagles' radar, coming from a small school. And there was some projection there, but look, they emphasize the front, the lines. We know that. I guess in the Devontae Smith case, that was kind of a correction for the Jalen Reagor miss. And then last year with Quinyon Mitchell, I think they were comfortable taking a cornerback later. They ended up picking him 22nd. You're okay taking a cornerback at that spot. And it was an obvious, it was a huge need for them. But this was the guy that they thought was one of the top players in the draft. So it wasn't for them a complete reach in terms of what they've done historically. But, my sense this year is just kind of what I've already gathered so far is that I think what's going to happen is if they see a guy that drops or one or two guys that drop for various reasons, could be off-field concerns, whatever the case may be, then that'll compel them to move up and try and get someone. Obviously, they're not going to be able to move up too much, but they can move up. And if that doesn't happen and someone they don't have a good grade on is sitting there at 32, then they'll trade out.
Speaking of Jeff McLane on the Comcast Business Hotline, Jeff, you can kind of look into your crystal ball here. Eagles obviously have a lot of areas they need to address. Milton Williams gone, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham retired. You have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson traded, both Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers out the door. Oren Burks, backup linebacker, because we don't know where Nakobe Dean might be week one. If you were looking at your crystal ball, how many of the replacements are currently in-house? How many are in the draft? And how many could still be future replacements with the second wave of free agency?
Yeah, look, Howard doesn't want to go into the draft with any specific needs, right? You want to have, in essence, all those spots covered. And I think to some extent they do. I think they'll do more to address the safety position. I'm not saying that's in the draft or not, but I just don't think they're not going to hand it to Sidney Brown, and they probably want some more competition there. I think the same probably holds true inside linebacker. Again, they're not going to hand that to Jeremiah Trotter, at least until Nakobe Dean comes back. And again, look, I think up front is where they're going to go early, and the defensive tackle, that is the position in this draft in terms of the depth and the talent at the top there. Walter Nolan is the guy I've kind of started to key in on him if he drops, and there have been various kind of reports about there being concerns about him. I can see the Eagles pouncing and trying to move up to get him.
Jeff, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We were listening to the New Heights podcast the other day, and Brandon Graham joining the guys, and he said, I went into Howie's office saying, I'm going to play another year. And when I left, I said, well, guess I'm retiring. What did you take that to mean? And obviously you know that situation a lot closer than we do.
I mean, look, again, it's hard to hang him up, right? And BG was playing at a high level before his injury, so he could have kept playing and been a contributor to this team. But I think sometimes you got to maybe hear it. I don't think what he's saying is not how he's necessarily saying to him that we're not going to. If you want to play, keep playing. It won't be here. That was kind of the situation that was laid out for Brent Selleck after the 2017 Super Bowl, and he wanted to keep playing. So that kind of made things a little awkward when the Eagles. I think Howie kind of had the same reaction to him. Hey, this is the way to walk out. Like you won a Super Bowl, you've had a great career, you'll be an Eagles legend for the rest of your life, et cetera. And I think Brent felt like he still had gas in the tank. And then eventually, I think he came to the realization that it was time to hang him up. With Brandon, a little bit of different circumstances, but look, he had said before the season this was going to be the last one. I think his family understood that as well, and probably wanted it as well. And Brandon's whatever he does, he's going to have so many options in life post football, and certainly a big part of that will be with the Eagles.
Last thing, how active will be Howie Roseman in terms of maybe shopping Bryce Huff next week during that 3-day span of the draft?
Yeah, I mean he's kind of like always on the market right now. So we'll see. I mean, the draft it's kind of when things start to shake up a little bit, and there's more. Every GM is on his phone, so you can wheel and deal a lot easier during the draft than other times. But that being said, you have the draft to focus on, right? And I don't know how Bryce Huff plays into that because again, is some team going to take on that contract? And I just find that hard to believe. So it could be just a scenario where, as we get later into this off season, maybe they can do a kind of a swap of your kind of overpaid guy or whatever for our overpaid guy. Or I don't know what's going to happen there, but certainly they're going to try and move him. But I would probably think there's a better chance that Dallas Goedert gets moved during the draft than Bryce Huff. And that said, I did mention earlier, but again, I think tight end is certainly a position as well that will be addressed at some point in this draft.
We'll be following all your work, Jeff. We'll talk to you again next week as we'll get closer to the NFL draft. We appreciate the time as always, man.
Thanks, Jeff.
Just keep up the great work.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
There he is, Jeff McLane on the Comcast Business Hotline. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line. Also, we'll get back to the Phillies. Because, Johnny...
Thank you so much for checking out our content on the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, you can always be checking the playlist. There may be something you missed from one of our shows during the day that you want to go back and check out. So every time you like a video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and you'll have that great content coming to you every single day. You're greatly appreciated.